Today I'm going to talk about big ideas in art. We're going to get a little crafty. You're going to need a piece of paper, a thin Sharpie, some glue stick, and then just like rainbow of colors. And let's get started. At the top of the paper, we are going to write with our Sharpie, what can I make art about? And if I'm going too fast, you can always pause the video and write and then play again. So a lot of students ask this question, and I think that there's a really it's a really essential question for us to ask, especially when we get more towards making art that is more personal or making art that is something that is your choice. And so we're going to draw something here to illustrate that. So in the middle, I want you to make a small heart. And then I want you to draw kind of a bubble person around that heart, making sure that there's enough room in the head for a brain. So we got our head here. So it doesn't have to be fancy, right? Just be a generic person. And in our brain, we're going to make a circle here. Again, you can pause it if you need to. So one of the things we can make art about is our feelings. So write feelings above our heart. And then we can also make art about things that only really exist in our brain, like fantasy, right? All right. And then we're going to draw around our person kind of like a big snowsuit. So leave a little space around the person and then draw a big line. And this layer about what we can make art about is about your identity. And as we're going through this, I want you to think about, what does she mean when she says feelings, fantasy, identity? Okay, and start to wonder and start to just let your brain kind of resonate on that a little bit and mull over it. Okay, the next layer that we're going to draw is going to actually be like a house shape. And as we're drawing the house shape, you can kind of think about, what would I name this next layer? Because we're going really close to our body and then we're getting farther and farther away. So what would I name that? Well, I am going to name that, we are going to name that culture. So this is the things that are closest to you and your family, that kind of thing, your personal culture. And then the next layer is not really a house, it's just kind of a circle. And this layer is society. So things in your community, things at your school. And then the next layer we're going to draw, this is our last big bubble here. Think for a minute, what would you name this next layer? We're going out from ourselves. I'm going to say our environment. Okay, and then outside of our environment is kind of beyond reality, and that is also fantasy. Just put beyond reality. And that's the exact same as the fantasy in your head, right? So for an example, like J.K. Rowling, she thought up in her head about Harry Potter, and then she wrote a book and movies, and there's the whole thing, you can buy wands and everything, and it became reality. But in the beginning, it was just her fantasy, and it was totally beyond reality. Okay? All right. So then what you're going to do is you're going to get your markers out and you're going to assign a color for each one of these words, and you're going to color it in. So for an example, feelings, I'm just going to be kind of obvious here. Feelings is going to be kind of a pink here. I'm just going to make it feelings. Right? And then maybe fantasy will be orange. Just kind of go around. Okay, and then also if fantasy is orange on the inside, fantasy is going to be orange on the outside. And it doesn't have to be perfect coloring. We're just adding some color. So it can be kind of scratchy. And you get to choose your own colors. So you're going to color each one of these things in your own color. So if you don't want feelings to be pink and fantasy to be orange, you choose. And then identity, we're going to use whatever color you want and go all the way around. You kind of see how it envelops the whole person. And again, I'm not being very careful with my coloring. This is just to illustrate a point. And then, I don't know, maybe culture will be blue. Kind of making a box around the words so that I can still read them if it's a dark color. Okay, and so then I have my graphic here. I'm going to take my book, and if you're watching this after I made a new book, it's probably already in your book. But if it's not in your book, it's a loose leaf piece of paper, you're going to open up to the back page, and we're just going to glue stick that in on the inside of the back page. And remember, when you're gluing, you're using lots of glue. Lots of coverage. Go over the same spot a couple of times. Put your cap on. Just glue that right onto the back there. Okay, and then the other side of the page here, on this side, I want you to make 6 boxes. So we're going to take our Sharpie and just draw a line down the center. You don't need to use a ruler. A line down the center there. And then I'm not going to draw a line in the middle because I want 6. So about a third of the way down, draw a line, and then another third, draw a line. And what I'm going to do is each one of these I am going to label. So we started out with feelings. So I'm going to use the same color that I used for feelings over here, and I'm going to write feelings. And maybe I'll kind of color the edges so we know, kind of just make it bright and colorful. And I'm going to do that for each. Okay, and I'm just going to write this also in black. Those ones that are hard to see. All right, so your page should look like this at this point, and that's where we're going to end this part of this lesson. And in class, we're going to start brainstorming smaller themes that go into here. So I wouldn't necessarily put Harry Potter in here. That's a little too specific, but I might put something like Other Worlds or Utopia, but we're going to talk about that, okay? So that's something we're going to brainstorm together in class. So get to this point and then I'll see you in class. Thanks. Bye, guys.